Welcome to the Godot BootCamp lesson on requesting user statistics. In this lesson, we'll go over how to request user statistics, and then display the list of user statistics in the Godot example game to the user. In the API reference, let's take a closer look at the read all user stats request. This is the request that you would make from your game or app to get the current values of the user statistics. This request doesn't take in any parameters. Taking a look at the JSON example response, we can see that all the statistics and their current values are returned. Interestingly, we don't need to make this request after we authenticate the user. That's because the user stats and their values are returned on a successful authentication response. Navigate to the brainCloud design portal. From the dashboard, click Design, then Cloud Code followed by API Explorer. Click Execute to authenticate. Notice in the response that the 3 user statistics that we set up in the previous lesson are returned. In this lesson, we're still going to set up the network class to be able to make the read all user stats request. However, we aren't going to actually invoke that request. We'll simply get the user statistics data from the authentication response. The reason we're still implementing the read all user stats request, despite not invoking it, is that in the event that your game or app has a use case that needs to query the statistics after the authentication, we want to show you how to handle the read all user stats response. Navigate into Visual Studio Code. For this lesson, we need to create 2 new classes to organize the user statistics data. At the top of the window, click File, then click New Text File. Click Select Language, then select C#. Save the file, and then name it statistic.cs. This class will manage a single user statistic object, although it could also be used for a global statistic as well. At the top of the file, declare the using statements. Declare a public class called statistic, then declare 4 private member variables for the name, description, value, and increment. Declare a public constructor. The constructor takes in the name, description, and value as the parameters. In the body of the constructor, initialize the member variables. Declare a public method called applyIncrement. This method takes in a parameter called amount with a default value of 1. In the body of the method, assign the amount parameter to the mIncrement and the mValue member variables. Declare a public getter property for each member variable. Save the file, and then at the top, click File, followed by New Text File. Click Select Language, then select C#. Save the file and name it Statistics Manager. This class will manage all the user statistic objects. At the top of the file, declare the using statements. Declare the Statistics Manager partial class and have it inherit from node. Declare a private member variable of type list of statistic objects called mStatistics. Declare a public method called getStatistics by name. In the body, safety check that mStatistics is not null. Then, loop through all the elements in the mStatistics list. Compare each statistic object's name to the name parameter. If there's a match, return the statistic object. If there aren't any matches, or if mStatistics is null, then return null. Declare a public method called getStatisticsAtIndex. If the index is valid, return the corresponding statistic object for the index. If the index is not valid, return null. Declare a public method called getCount. In the body, return the number of elements in the mStatistics list. Declare a public method called setStatistics. In the body, assign the parameter to the mStatistics member variable. Save the file and then navigate to the constants.cs file. Declare a constant variable for each of the user statistics names. Make sure the names match the statistic names on the design portal. Then declare a static read-only dictionary that holds the statistic names and the descriptions. Save the file and then navigate to the network.cs file. Declare a pair of public callback delegates that will be used to handle a read all user stats response. Declare a private member variable of type Statistics Manager and instantiate it. Next, declare a public getter property called getStatisticsManager, and in the body, return the Statistics Manager member variable. Scroll down to the bottom and find the parseLeaderboard method. Above this method, declare a private method called parseStatistics. In the body of the method, declare a list of statistic objects. Then loop through all the elements in the statistics data dictionary and get the statistics key. Parse the statistics value and determine the description using the key and the constant we set up earlier. Create a statistic object, pass in the key, description, and value as the arguments. Add the statistic object to the list of statistic objects. When all the statistics have been parsed, return the list of statistic objects. Scroll up and above the handle authentication method, declare a public method called requestUserStatistics. This method takes in the callback delegates as the parameters. In the body, check to see if the user is authenticated. If the user is not authenticated, format an error message and then invoke the handle request error method, passing in the error message and the error delegate as the arguments. If the user is authenticated, declare a success callback lambda. In the body of the lambda, log the response data. Then parse the response data and get the data object. From the data object, parse the statistics data. Invoke the parse statistics method, passing in a reference to the statistics data object as the argument. Add the list of statistic objects to the statistics manager. Finally, if the success callback delegate is not null, it will be invoked, passing in a list of statistic objects as the argument. Next, declare failure callback lambda. In the body of the lambda, format an error message, and then invoke the handle request error method, passing in the error message and the error delegate as the arguments. Invoke brainCloud's player statistics services read all user stats request, passing in the success and failure callback lambdas as the arguments. In the handle authentication success method below, after the statement that parses the username from the response data, we're going to parse the statistics data object from the response data. Invoke the parse statistics method, passing in a reference to the statistics data object as the argument. Add the list of statistic objects to the statistics manager. Save the file and then navigate to the statisticcontrol.cs file. This class is responsible for displaying a single statistic object's description and value to the user in the statistics dialog. Declare a public method called set that takes in a single statistic object as the parameter. In the body, set the output text for the description and the value from the statistic object. Save the file and then navigate to the statisticsdialog.cs file. Find the onShow method. In the body, delete the to-do statement, then loop through and set a statistic object for each statistic control object. Save the file and then compile the code. If the code compiles successfully, open the Godot editor. Run the game. Click the brainCloud button, then click the statistics button. The statistics dialog will appear and the 3 statistics that we defined in the previous lesson are displayed. In the next lesson, we're going to hook these statistics up in the Godot example game in various situations and increment them when appropriate. Incrementing statistics is the next lesson in the Godot BootCamp.